Hello, everyone. We are glad to have you back. When Margot Madison joins the Roscosmos team in House Divided, the fourth episode of For All Mankind, she learns the severe cost of failure. International collaboration on Mars is in danger of collapsing due to a diplomatic crisis as NASA, Roscosmos, and Happy Valley react to the new political regime. Lee Hobson, the director of NASA, is under pressure to maintain the M7 pact, while Svetlana Zakharova tries to sabotage the relationship between Danielle Poole and Ed Baldwin. Following a passionate dispute in a hyperbaric chamber with the politically connected Soviet civilian, cosmonaut Svetlana Zakharova finds herself embroiled in a power battle that is both personal and political. The brutal retaliation that Margot sees at Roscosmos serves as an example of the circumstances that Svetlana suffers back home in the Soviet Union. There are severe penalties for failure under the new Soviet administration, which supports NASA's position against Svetlana's speedy return to the USSR. Even though Svetlana's issue is ultimately resolved in a way that maintains world peace, some of Happy Valley's citizens may suffer significant personal consequences as a result of the choice made later in For All Mankind Season 4. The fragile aspect of the current peace is highlighted in FAM Season 4, Episode 4, House Divided, even though the Cold War may be ending. An equally ferocious exchange between Ed and Danny results from the diplomatic situation that is set off by Svetlana and Vasily's violent quarrel. Danny, as Happy Valley's commander, must choose between her duty to NASA and all of the base's residents and her allegiance to Ed. Ed is enraged with Danny when she finally consents to send Svetlana back to Earth to face assault charges, and she delivers some hard facts to him. Danny notices that Ed and Svetlana are drawn to one another and notes that Ed is acting in a familiar manner by allowing his emotions to cloud his judgment and prevent him from seeing the wider picture. Ed even offers to hide Svetlana in the fourth floor of the base, which is still under construction, since he is so determined to keep her on Mars with him. He only gives in and leads Svetlana through the irate mob to the shuttle when she begs him not to jeopardize his career for her. Ed walks sobbing back to his quarters and pushes past Danny, demonstrating that he has no intention of ever forgiving his old friend. Ed Baldwin will once again suffer in silence because no one else on the base is aware of his health problem now that Svetlana has left. Miles Dale, although being a vital component of Happy Valley's illegal economy, nonetheless longs for additional chances to support his family. He becomes aware of the monetary worth of the red obsidian Mars pebbles that are scattered across the red planet's surface when he and his wife happen to cross paths with an earthly gallery owner. Despite the significant financial benefits, Ilya is reluctant to begin exporting the rocks back to Earth. The likelihood of being discovered is too great, which may ruin the plan and put Miles and Ilya in jail. But Miles won't accept no for an answer, so he goes out on his own to gather the rocks by traveling over Mars' surface. As Miles reaches out and falls into a ravine, his oxygen supply is running low, and disaster strikes. Even though Samantha Massey saves him in the end, Miles' accident has a lot of symbolic ramifications. Sending Martian rocks to Earth against Ilya's desires is a dangerous decision that shows how overextended Miles, implying an even deeper fall for the new character in For All Mankind Season 4. Margot Madison realizes how unstable her new position is after being hired by Irina Morozova, the new director of Roscosmos. When Margot is requested to offer her knowledge and critical eye on the Kronos asteroid catastrophe, she unintentionally sends a colleague to their demise. Margot learns that cosmonaut Grigory Kuznetsov's death was caused by a mistake made by Roscosmos. Ranger 1 failed to stabilize the Kronos asteroid due to an error in the conversion rate of bolt measurements. Margot reports her findings to Irina innocuously, but when she finds out that Kirill Semenov was taken by the KGB to an unidentified place, she comes to understand that failure has a steep price. Margot should have been warned by Irina's treatment of criticism on the Svetlana problem about how different Roscosmos is from NASA. Margot is starkly reminded by Kirill's vacant chair of how Irina and the new Soviet regime will handle her own shortcomings. Should things get desperate, she has no one to turn to because NASA and the U.S. government continue to believe she perished in the Johnson Space Center explosion. The argument between Danny and Ed over Svetlana turns personal as the two former buddies exhibit extreme emotional outbursts at one another. Ed makes the claim that Danny Stevens was prepared for the journey to Mars, which Danny brings up to him. The fatal mining disaster that occurred at the end of For All Mankind Season 3 was ultimately caused by Ed's inability to address the young man's substance misuse issues and delicate emotional state. It's unclear what transpired after Danny was sent to the North Korean Starship for the deaths of numerous of his coworkers. The tension between Ed and Danny almost reveals what happened to Danny following the events of For All Mankind Season 3. Danny states during the dispute that the young man wouldn't have on Mars if Ed hadn't insisted on bringing him there, then she goes silent. Furious, Ed prods Danny to continue her statement, encouraging her to say it, but failing to clarify what it is. It is evident that Danny still finds it difficult to accept what transpired to Danny Stevens on Mars and continues to hold herself and Ed responsible for his untimely demise. Given that Ed and Danny are already at odds, it's possible that a subsequent disagreement between the two former friends may eventually disclose Danny's fate in For All Mankind Season 4. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe.